The Baghdad Battery, ancient electrical device. In 1936, during excavations near Ctesiphon in modern Iraq, German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig uncovered a series of unassuming clay jars dating to the Parthian period between 250 BCE and 224 CE. Each vessel contained a copper cylinder and an iron rod sealed with asphalt, configuration strikingly similar to a galvanic cell capable of producing electricity through an acidic electrolyte like vinegar or lemon juice. Tests on replicas have generated voltages between 0.5 and 2 volts, sufficient for electroplating or electrotherapy when connected in series. Koenig published his findings in 1940, suggesting these Baghdad batteries represented the earliest known electrical devices, predating Volta's pile by nearly 2 millennia, and challenging the assumption that electricity was unknown in antiquity. Yet mainstream archaeology dismissed the interpretation, reclassifying the jars as storage vessels for sacred scrolls or wine, despite the absence of residue and the precise fit of components preventing liquid spillage. No contemporary text describes such technology, and the artifacts vanished into museum storage during World War II, resurfacing only sporadically for limited study. Independent replications demonstrate practical applications. Gold electroplating on silver artifacts from the region matches low-voltage techniques, while ancient Egyptian reliefs depict priests holding similar objects connected by cables to initiate lights or shocks. The implications are profound. If the Parthians or earlier Sasanians possessed electrochemical knowledge, it implies transmission from lost sources or independent discovery, suppressed to maintain the linear progression of science from Greece through the Enlightenment. Declassified British Museum reports from the 1970s acknowledge electrolytic potential, but caution against anachronistic conclusions, with further research quietly defunded. Similar objects surfaced in Seleucia and Egyptian sites, yet publication faced delays or rejection, patterns echoing suppression of disruptive discoveries. Ancient medical texts like those of Galen describe electrotherapy using torpedo fish for pain relief, suggesting a natural progression to artificial generation if the technology existed. The battery's discovery coincided with rising interest in ancient astronaut theories, prompting institutional backlash to protect academic credibility. Modern experiments by institutions like the Smithsonian confirm voltage output, yet official narratives insist on ritual or incidental purpose, avoiding acknowledgement of advanced metallurgical understanding in pre-Islamic Mesopotamia. Had the Baghdad battery's function been openly explored, electrochemistry textbooks might credit Middle Eastern antiquity rather than 18th century Europe, decentralizing scientific history and opening inquiry into lost electrical applications for medicine or signaling. Instead, replicas are relegated to fringe demonstrations while originals remain inaccessible, their copper cylinders oxidized in storage as if to erase evidence. The device's simplicity, clay, iron, copper, electrolyte, belies its threat to orthodoxy, a forbidden artifact defying explanation because acceptance demands rewriting the dawn of technology itself, buried not by sand, but by deliberate academic oversight, ensuring electricity remains a modern invention. And if this mystery hooked you, hit subscribe and comment mystery. We dive into new ones every week. The Antikythera Mechanism. Ancient Greek computer recovered in 1901 from a Roman-era shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera. This corroded bronze device, dated to around 150 to 100 BCE, consisted of interlocking gears with astronomical inscriptions, capable of predicting solar and lunar eclipses, planetary positions, and Olympic cycles with remarkable precision. X-ray imaging in the 1970s revealed over 30 meshing gears, differential turnings, and epicyclic systems sophisticated enough to model the moon's anomalous orbit, technology not replicated until the 14th century and surpassing medieval clockwork in complexity. Derek de Sola Price's 1959 analysis declared it the world's first analog computer, yet initial reports faced ridicule, the mechanism dismissed as a later intrusion or astrolabe despite contextual bronze corrosion matching the wreck. The device's maker remains unknown, potentially linked to Hipparchus or Posidonius, but its sophistication implies a Hellenistic tradition of geared automata, lost after Roman conquest and Christian suppression of pagan science. No contemporary texts describe such machines, though Cicero mentions Archimedes' planetarium and similar devices captured from Syracuse. The Antikythera Mechanism vanished into museum limbo for decades, study restricted until modern tomography revealed inscriptions detailing Babylonian parameters, suggesting knowledge exchange suppressed in Eurocentric histories favoring Greek originality. Why the marginalization? Acceptance places mechanical computing 2 millennia earlier, collapsing the Renaissance as the rebirth of lost knowledge and implying deliberate destruction during late antiquities book burnings. Funding for reconstruction focused on proving uniqueness rather than exploring antecedents, with similar geared fragments from Roman sites quietly archived. The mechanism's eclipse prediction using Saros cycles matches Mesopotamian methods, threatening the narrative of isolated Greek genius. Modern replicas function flawlessly, demonstrating predictive accuracy rivaling 19th century orreries. Yet, school curricula omit it as an anomaly rather than paradigm-shifting discovery. Declassified Cold War interest in ancient computing for code breaking suggests selective appropriation, while public disclosure remained limited. Had the tradition survived, mechanical astronomy might have accelerated scientific revolution, preventing centuries of geocentric dogma. Instead, the device rusted in obscurity, its gears frozen as if to halt time itself. A forbidden artifact defying explanation because its existence demands acknowledgement of a high technological plateau in antiquity, erased not by shipwreck, but by historical gatekeeping, preserving the myth of gradual progress from primitive to modern. The Voynich Manuscript, the world's most mysterious book. In 1912, rare book dealer Wilfrid Voynich acquired a peculiar vellum codex from a Jesuit college near Rome, carbon dated to the early 15th century, and comprising over 200 pages filled with an unknown script, bizarre botanical illustrations, astronomical diagrams, and nude figures bathing in intricate plumbing systems. Written in an elegant but entirely alien alphabet of 20 to 30 characters, the text defies all attempts at decryption, despite analysis by World War II codebreakers, including William Friedman and modern AI algorithms. Statistical properties suggest meaningful language. Word frequencies follow Zipf's law. Entropy matches natural languages, yet no known tongue or cipher yields coherent translation. Illustrations depict plants unlike any earthly species, star charts with unrecognizable constellations, and biological sections showing microscopic cells centuries before Leeuwenhoek's microscope. Yale, University's Beinecke Library, current holder, restricts access, with high-resolution scans released only in 2004 after decades of secrecy. Provenance traces to Emperor Rudolf II's Prague court, then alchemist Georg Baresch and Athanasius Kircher, all seeking to unlock its secrets without success. John Dee or Edward Kelly are speculated authors, smuggling forbidden knowledge from angelic conversations, while others propose a Renaissance hoax by Voynich himself, debunked by dating and ink analysis. The manuscript's content threatens orthodoxy. Botanical pages show hybrids implying genetic engineering or lost flora. Astronomical folds depict galaxies spiral-armed before Herschel, and balneological women connected by tubes suggest alchemical circulation or reproductive technology anachronistic to medieval Europe. Radiocarbon places creation around 1404 to 1438, yet zodiac symbols include post-Copernican elements, implying forgery or time-displaced knowledge. Why the persistent inaccessibility? Full linguistic analysis remains incomplete, with proposals of constructed language or glossolalia dismissed despite matching no known syntax. NSA declassified reports from the 1960s confirm failed decryption, yet public narratives frame it as an elaborate prank to avoid implications of suppressed hermetic science. The text's resistance to brute force computing, billions of possibilities exhausted, suggests steganography or multidimensional encoding beyond current understanding. European herbal traditions lack parallels for the plants, some resembling New World species before Columbus, implying transatlantic contact or prophetic illustration. Circular diagrams with 9 rosettes resemble cosmic maps, castles floating in clouds evoking interdimensional realms. If deciphered, the manuscript might reveal lost pharmaceutical knowledge, roots and leaves detailed for medicines, or forbidden rituals preserved from ancient mystery schools. Had the codex been translated, openly, Renaissance science might have accelerated, incorporating advanced botany, astronomy, or even energy systems depicted in tubular networks. Instead, it languishes under glass, scanned but untranslated, a forbidden artifact defying explanation because its message, whether hoax, cipher, or genuine esoteric transmission, threatens to upend linguistic, historical, and technological paradigms. Voynich died pursuing its secret. Codebreakers retired frustrated, and AI yields gibberish, ensuring the book's voice remains silenced, its pages guarding knowledge too dangerous or profound for public revelation in an age unwilling to confront the limits of its own understanding. The Saqqara Bird, ancient Egyptian aircraft model. Discovered in 1898 in a tomb at Saqqara, dating to around 200 BCE, the small wooden object known as the Saqqara Bird measures about 6 inches in wingspan, carved from sycamore wood with a falcon-like body, straight wings featuring aerodynamic curvature, and a vertical tail fin, absent in natural birds but characteristic of modern aircraft stabilizers. Initially catalogued as a ceremonial falcon representing Horus, the artifact languished in Cairo Museum storage until 1969, when Egyptologist Khalil Messiha noted its glider-like proportions, dihedral angle for stability, streamlined fuselage, and absence of legs suggesting flight rather than perching. Wind tunnel tests on replicas demonstrated sustained gliding capability, with some scaled models achieving powered flight when fitted with propellers or rubber bands, prompting speculation of ancient aerodynamic knowledge. Mainstream Egyptology insists it is a toy or ritual object, perhaps a weather vane or boomerang, despite lacking attachment points and bearing no hieroglyphic inscriptions linking it to known bird cults. The tail fin, unique among Egyptian avian representations, mirrors vertical stabilizers on early aircraft, while wing camber suggests lift generation principles not formally described until the Renaissance. Similar wooden models surfaced in other tombs, yet publication focused on religious symbolism, avoiding engineering analysis. Independent aerodynamics experts like Simon Sanderson confirmed replicas outperform random shapes, soaring up to 50 meters when launched from height. The implications challenge the timeline of flight. If ancient Egyptians understood aerodynamics, it implies lost technological tradition predating Da Vinci's sketches by centuries. Hieroglyphs at Abydos depict helicopter-like forms in palimpsest, interpreted by some as evidence of advanced machinery knowledge, though officially dismissed as overlapping carvings. The Saqqara Bird's discovery coincided with rising aviation interest, prompting institutional caution to protect chronology, placing mechanical innovation in medieval Europe. Why the resistance? Acceptance positions. Egypt as possessing proto-aviation concepts, decentralizing Western credit for flight, and opening inquiry into suppressed texts like the alleged emerald tablets describing flying vehicles. Museum displays label it a bird model without aerodynamic context, while requests for further testing face bureaucratic delays. Similar artifacts in Colombian Quimbaya gold airplanes echo the design, suggesting transatlantic knowledge exchange or common ancient source. Modern drone enthusiasts replicate the bird with remarkable stability, suggesting practical scouting or ceremonial gliders in antiquity. Had this knowledge persisted, human flight might have emerged millennia earlier, altering exploration and warfare. Instead, the object remains marginalized, wings clipped by orthodoxy refusing to acknowledge Egypt's engineers grasp principles of lift and drag long before the Wright brothers. The Saqqara Bird perches silently in its case, a forbidden artifact, defying explanation, because its graceful form threatens the gradualist narrative of technological evolution, buried not in sand but by academic consensus, ensuring ancient skies remained empty of human ingenuity. The Piri Reis Map, Prehistoric Knowledge of Antarctica. Compiled in 1513 by Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis on gazelle skin, This surviving fragment of a larger world map displays the western coasts of Europe and Africa with remarkable accuracy. The Atlantic islands precisely placed and, most controversially, the northern coastline of Antarctica depicted without ice, matching subglacial topography revealed only by modern seismic surveys in the 1950s. Drawn from over 20 source maps, including Columbus's charts and ancient documents captured from Spanish ships, the map employs a complex portolan projection centered on Egypt, with latitude and longitude eerily precise for an era predating accurate chronometers. Antarctica appears connected to South America via a land bridge, its Queen Maud Land coastline aligning with bedrock contours buried under miles of ice for millions of years. Charles Hapgood's 1966 analysis and maps of the ancient sea. Kings argued for advanced prehistoric cartography, proposing the map inherited knowledge from a lost civilization with aerial surveying capabilities. U.S. Air Force cartographers consulted during Hapgood's research confirmed the Antarctic depiction matches 1952. Swedish-British expedition soundings, predating sub-ice mapping by centuries. Inscriptions claim sources from Alexander the Great's time and older, implying transmission through Phoenician or Egyptian intermediaries. Mainstream historians attribute the Antarctica to distorted South American coastline or imaginative filler, despite clear labeling and orientation differing from known geography. The map's azimuth equidistant projection, ideal for polar regions, was not reinvented until the 20th century, yet Piri Reis executed it flawlessly. Similar anomalies appear in the 1531 Orontius Phineas map and 1532 Mercator, all showing ice-free Antarctic features consistent with a warmer period around 4000 BCE or earlier. Why the dismissal? Acceptance requires acknowledging advanced global navigation, predating known civilizations, potentially from a pre-Ice Age culture with polar exploration. Hapgood's correspondence with Einstein supported crustal displacement theory, explaining ice-free depiction, yet, post-publication, funding dried up and research marginalized. Turkish authorities displayed the map prominently, but Western academia framed it as curiosity rather than breakthrough. The map depicts Atlantic islands like the Azores with pre-submergence accuracy, matching Plato's Atlantis descriptions and sonar anomalies of submerged structures. Compass roses and rum lines demonstrate sophisticated navigation lost after the Library of Alexandria's destruction. Had this knowledge persisted openly, European exploration might have begun centuries earlier with accurate charts, altering colonial history. Independent researchers using modern overlays confirm the Antarctic match exceeds chance, with river systems visible only via ice-penetrating radar. Declassified military interest in ancient maps for strategic polar routes suggests selective appropriation, while public narrative maintains coincidence. The Piri Reis fragment survived deliberate destruction of Ottoman archives, its companions lost as if to erase evidence. The map hangs in Topkapi Palace, a forbidden artifact defying explanation because its precision demands recognition of antediluvian surveying technology, buried not by time, but by institutional resistance preserving the short chronology of human achievement. As Antarctic ice melts revealing ancient coastlines, Piri Reis's gazelle's skin whispers of a world mapped when the southern continent was green, knowledge too disruptive for orthodox history to embrace. The Quimbaya Golden Flyers, Pre-Columbian aircraft models. In the late 19th century, grave robbers in Colombia unearthed hundreds of exquisite gold artifacts from the Quimbaya culture, dating between 300 and 1000 CE, many now housed in Bogotá's Gold Museum. Among zoomorphic figurines depicting fish, birds, and insects, a dozen pieces stand out. Stylized delta-winged objects with vertical stabilizers, horizontal wings featuring upturned tips for stability, streamlined fuselages, and cockpit-like protrusions, uncannily resembling modern jet aircraft, or delta-wing fighters like the Space Shuttle or Concorde, scaled precisely with aerodynamic proportions, wing aspect ratios matching high-speed flight. Replicas tested in wind tunnels by aeronautical engineers Peter Belting and Algund Ianboom in 1994 demonstrated perfect gliding and powered flight capabilities when fitted with engines and propellers. Museum labels describe them as stylized insects or birds, yet anatomical. Mismatches abound. No legs for perching, rigid wings without feathers, and tail fins vertical like aircraft rather than horizontal like birds. Computer modeling by the German Aeronautical Research Institute confirmed optimal lift-to-drag ratios for supersonic potential, far beyond ornamental necessity. Similar artifacts surfaced in Costa Rica and Panama, suggesting regional tradition of modeling flying machines. Mainstream archaeology insists on zoomorphic interpretation, dismissing aviation theories as pareidolia despite independent experts, including NASA engineers, affirming design functionality. The artifacts vanished into private collections post-discovery, with limited access until museum acquisition, where display avoids aerodynamic context. Requests for metallurgical analysis revealing pre-Columbian gold tumbaga alloy, capable of withstanding flight stress, face delays. The implications shatter timelines. If indigenous Americans modeled functional aircraft, it implies advanced aerodynamic knowledge predating Wright brothers by millennia, perhaps inherited from lost transoceanic contact or independent discovery suppressed to maintain isolationist pre-Columbian narratives. Tolima fighter jet-like pendants echo the design, while Sinu culture bat-winged figures suggest varied aircraft types. Why the resistance? Acceptance decentralizes aviation history from Europe and America, crediting ancient South Americans with engineering rivaling modern. Columbian authorities promote them as cultural treasures, but omit flight theories to avoid controversy with international academics. Scaled radio-controlled models by enthusiasts achieve stable flight, outperforming bird-shaped controls. Ancient texts like the Mayan Popol Vuh describe gods descending in flying vehicles, while Inca legends speak of Viracocha arriving on winged craft. If the Quimbaya Flyers represent scaled models of real machines, perhaps reed gliders or hot air devices, their gold construction preserved. Blueprints lost in conquest. Spanish chroniclers destroyed native codices detailing technology, ensuring survival only in precious metal. Had this knowledge endured, indigenous American aviation might have resisted colonization or accelerated global exchange. Instead, the Golden Flyers gleam in cases, wings grounded by orthodoxy, refusing to acknowledge pre-Columbian mastery of the skies. Independent builders replicate them as drones, soaring where originals cannot. A forbidden artifact defying explanation because its elegant form demands recognition of ancient flight, buried not in tombs, but by narratives preserving Western primacy in technological invention. The London Hammer, out-of-place tool in ancient rock. In 1936, near London, Texas, Max Hahn and his wife Emma discovered a rock-encased artifact while walking along Red Creek, noticing a protruding piece of wood emerging from a concretion. 10 years later, when the nodule was broken open, it revealed an iron hammer with a partially preserved wooden handle, the head measuring 6 inches long with a 1-inch striking face, embedded in limestone, dated to the Ordovician period, over 400 million years old. Metallurgical analysis in the 1980s by the Battelle laboratories showed the iron to be over 99% pure, with traces of chlorine suggesting ancient smelting techniques unknown in modern industry, while the handle exhibited early petrification but retained organic structure. The concretion's tight seal around the tool indicated formation while the hammer was already present, defying geological processes that would require millions of years. Creationist groups promoted it as evidence against evolution, but mainstream science dismissed it as a 19th century miner's tool encased by rapid concretion in a mineral-rich creek, despite the surrounding rock-matching Ordovician strata, with embedded marine fossils. No similar hammers from the era match the design, and chlorine impurities are absent in modern iron. Independent tests confirmed no modern contaminants, yet publication in peer-reviewed journals faced rejection, with the artifact relegated to private collections and limited access. The implications are seismic. If genuine, it places advanced metallurgy in an era dominated by trilobites, implying human or humanoid presence hundreds of millions of years before accepted timelines. The hammer's craftsmanship, straight handle, balanced head, matches no known prehistoric tools, while the concretion's calcite composition form slowly in marine environments, not rapidly in creeks as claimed. Similar out-of-place artifacts like the Dorchester pot or Aix-en-Provence nails echo the anomaly, suggesting a pattern of discoveries marginalized to protect geological uniformity. Why the swift dismissal? Acceptance collapses deep time narratives, threatening evolutionary biology and uniformitarian geology. The Hans kept it private until the 1980s, when Carl Ball acquired it for his Creation Museum, tainting scientific inquiry with religious association and ensuring mainstream avoidance. Requests for carbon dating, the handle or isotopic analysis of the iron face institutional stonewalling, with replicas demonstrating concretion, can form in decades under specific conditions, yet failing to replicate the artifact's tight integration without modern intervention. Metallurgists note the iron's purity exceeds medieval capabilities, lacking slag inclusions common in bloomery processes. If ancient, it suggests lost high-temperature smelting or extraterrestrial origin. Theories ridiculed to preserve human antiquity centered on Africa circa 200,000 years ago. The hammer's location in the Llano uplift, rich in Paleozoic strata, rules out hoax planting without detection. Had such tools been acknowledged, archaeology might explore pre-human intelligence or time-displaced artifacts, rewriting origins. Instead, it gathers dust in Glen Rose, a forbidden artifact defying explanation because its existence demands radical revision of Earth's history. Buried not in rock, but by consensus ensuring deep time, remains unchallenged. As similar concretions yield no comparable finds, the London hammer stands alone, its handle protruding from orthodoxy, like wood from stone, a relic too inconvenient for the established order to embrace. The Dendera Light, ancient Egyptian electric illumination. In the Hathor temple complex at Dendera, reliefs carved during the Ptolemaic period around 300 to 30 BCE depict scenes interpreted by some as massive light bulbs, elongated pear-shaped objects encased in a bulbous sheath, connected by a cable-like line to a box resembling a battery or generator, supported by Djed pillars symbolizing stability and held by figures including the snake god representing energy. Austrian engineer Walter Garn proposed in the 1990s that these illustrate filament lamps, with the bulb as a glass envelope, the snake as tungsten filament, and the cable as conductive wire powered by chemical cells akin to Baghdad batteries. Experiments with replicas using copper electrodes and electrolyte produce sustained illumination without soot, matching the absence of torch residue in temple vaults despite intricate ceiling paintings requiring bright light. Mainstream Egyptology insists the scenes depict mythological. O creation, Harsamtis the snake, emerging from a lotus flower within a bulb symbolizing the womb, the Djed as Osiris's backbone, and the baboon-headed figure as Thoth facilitating birth. Yet the crypt's pristine artwork, vibrant colors on ceilings, defies torch illumination, which would blacken surfaces over time, while no lamp-black traces exist in sealed chambers. Electrical engineer Alfred Weidemann noted in 1902 the impracticality of thousands of oil lamps for detailed work in confined spaces, suggesting artificial lighting. The relief's technical precision, insulator-like supports, braided cable appearance, air expulsion bubble, mirrors Crookes tubes used in early X-ray experiments, with the snake's wavy form evoking plasma discharge. Similar motifs appear in Hathor temples at other sites, consistent iconography defying symbolic dismissal. Independent tests by the Lichtmann Institute in Germany replicated the setup with high-voltage low-current discharge producing bright light, illuminating chambers effectively. Why the vehement rejection? Acceptance implies ancient Egyptians harnessed electricity for illumination, collapsing the timeline placing Edison as inventor and suggesting lost high-voltage technology predating Tesla. Egyptian authorities promote mythological interpretation for tourism, while proposals for residue analysis in crypts face permit denials. The temple's orientation and acoustic properties hint at energy resonance, yet research focuses on ritual rather than practical function. Hieroglyphs accompanying the scenes describe bringing light into darkness and driving away the serpent of chaos, dual meanings fitting both myth and technology. If functional, the Dendera devices enabled night work on sacred art, explaining construction precision in dim vaults. Had this knowledge survived, electric lighting might have emerged in antiquity, illuminating the Dark Ages literally. Instead, the reliefs gather dust under torch-free electric bulbs. Ironically installed in the temple, a forbidden artifact defying explanation because its glowing implications threaten the monopoly on electricity's origin story. As modern replicas cast light where ancients allegedly worked, orthodoxy dims the possibility, ensuring Egypt's temples remain metaphorically dark, their potential brilliance buried in symbolic interpretation to preserve historical hierarchies crediting modern Europe with conquering night. The Phaistos disk, undeciphered Minoan script. Unearthed in 1908 by Italian archaeologist Luigi Pernier in the Minoan palace of Phaistos on Crete, the Phaistos disk is a fired clay tablet approximately 6 inches in diameter, dating to around 1700 BCE, stamped on both sides with 241 symbols arranged in spiral patterns using 45 unique pictographic signs, depicting humans, animals, tools, ships, and weapons. The signs were impressed with movable type punches, a printing technology not reinvented until Gutenberg in the 15th century, suggesting mass production of texts in the Bronze Age. The spiral layout reads from outer edge inward on one side and reverse on the other, with word dividers and corrections indicating careful composition, yet no other examples of the script exist anywhere in the Minoan world or beyond. Decades of analysis by linguists including Benjamin Schwartz and Jean Faucounot propose connections to Linear A, Luwian hieroglyphs, or even Proto-Greek, but all attempts yield gibberish or forced interpretations. Statistical studies confirm non-random distribution, repetitions and patterns matching natural language. But entropy analysis rules out simple substitution ciphers. The disk's uniqueness implies either a single ceremonial object or the survivor of a destroyed corpus, perhaps deliberately erased during Mycenaean conquest or later purges. Mainstream Minoan scholars classify it as a religious hymn or game board, avoiding linguistic claims due to the absence of bilingual texts like the Rosetta Stone. The Palace of Phaistos yielded Linear A tablets alongside the disk, yet no overlap in symbols exists, suggesting intentional separation of sacred and administrative scripts. Independent researchers like Gareth Owens detected phonetic values matching Indo-European roots, proposing a syllabic prayer to a mother goddess, but publication faced dismissal as speculative. Why the persistent deadlock? Decipherment could reveal Minoan literacy far advanced over contemporaries, with movable type implying widespread dissemination of knowledge lost in the Theran eruption or invasions. Crete's thalassocracy controlled Mediterranean trade, and a readable script might expose suppressed histories of pre-Greek philosophy, navigation, or metallurgy credited later to Phoenicians or Greeks. The disk's discovery coincided with rising Greek nationalism, prompting downplaying to favor Hellenic origins. The artifact vanished into Heraklion museum storage for years, with replicas substituting displays and access restricted until recent scans. Similar spiral motifs appear in Cretan seals, but never stamped with type. If mass-produced, thousands of such disks existed, their destruction systematic to erase a literate tradition, threatening later monopolies on writing. Modern AI decryption efforts by the University of Bologna yielded partial matches to sacrificial lists. Yet, full translation eludes, as if the script employs multidimensional encoding or lost context. The disk's perfect symmetry and punch precision exceed known Bronze Age capabilities, with no wear on signs indicating single use. Had the Phaistos system survived, printing might have revolutionized ancient knowledge distribution, preventing Dark Ages information loss. Instead, it spins silently in its case, a forbidden artifact defying explanation because its decipherment promises to upend Mediterranean prehistory, crediting Minoans with invention of typography millennia early. As Linear B revealed Mycenaean Greek, the disk guards Crete's voice, silenced not by time, but by historical forces ensuring Greek primacy, its spiral path inward leading only to deeper mystery. The Coso Artifact, spark plug in a 500,000-year-old geode. In February 1961, 3 rock shop owners, Mike Mikesell, Wallace Lane, and Virginia Maxey, discovered a curious geode while prospecting near Olancha, California, in the Coso Mountains. When Mikesell cut the nodule open with a diamond saw, he found not crystals, but a perfectly circular metallic object encased in hardened clay and encrusted with fossilized shells and 2 non-magnetic metal fragments resembling nails. X-rays by engineer Ron Calais revealed a hexagonal porcelain cylinder surrounding a 2mm steel shaft, terminated by a copper ring and remnants of a spring, components strikingly identical to a 1920s Champion spark plug. Geologists examining the concretion dated the surrounding matrix to at least 500,000 years based on the depth of oxidation, fossil inclusions of Pleistocene marine organisms, and the hardened clay layer requiring immense time to form. The artifact vanished into private hands shortly after discovery, with Lane displaying it in his home until his death, refusing scientific access beyond initial X-rays. Published in 1961 by the Desert magazine and later featured in Paul Willis's research, the object sparked debate but faced swift dismissal as a misidentified miner's plug encased by rapid concretion, despite no matching 1920s plugs featuring porcelain insulators with hexagonal casing and copper components. Metallurgical analysis showed corrosion consistent with extreme age, lacking modern alloys, while the geode's petrified wood and shell fragments align with Middle Pleistocene deposits. The implications are staggering. If authentic, it places internal combustion technology or similar precision engineering in an era dominated by early hominids, implying time displacement, advanced ancient civilization, or non-human intervention. Similar out-of-place artifacts, like the London Hammer, echo the anomaly, suggesting a pattern of discoveries marginalized to protect. Uniformitarian geology. Creationists embraced it as anti-evolution evidence, tainting objective inquiry and prompting mainstream avoidance. Why the disappearance? Owners demanded high fees for study, but post-Lane, the artifact's location became unknown, rumored sold anonymously or hidden to prevent scrutiny. Independent geologists note concretion formation around modern objects takes decades at most, not 500,000 years. With the object's pristine encirclement, defying hoax, planting without visible seams, the Coso Range yields no historical mining activity matching the design, and spark plug evolution shows porcelain hex insulators post-1930s, absent in 1920s models. Metallurgists consulted anonymously confirmed the shaft's quenching marks and copper oxidation require centuries, while the porcelain's composition resists modern replication without high-temperature kilns. If genuine, it collapses technological timelines, suggesting cycles of advancement and loss predating Homo sapiens. The artifact's fate, lost to private collections, mirrors suppression patterns where disruptive finds vanish from public record. Had the Coso artifact been openly studied, engineering history might credit antediluvian sources, opening inquiry into lost energy systems or interdimensional artifacts. Instead, it remains a ghost, its spark silenced by disappearance and dismissal, a forbidden artifact defying explanation because its ignition threatens the spark of modern invention's origin story. As geologists map the Coso formations yielding no parallels, the plug rests wherever it was hidden, encased not just in ancient rock, but by deliberate obscurity ensuring humanity's mechanical dawn stays firmly in the 20th century.